The call came at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. I know because I was staring at my laptop screen, finishing month-end reconciliations for the third client that week. The shrill ring cut through my apartment's silence like a knife. Is this Maureen Lewis? My name is Maureen, and I'm the kind of person who answers unknown calls at 3 a.m. because someone might need help. Always have been. It's probably why I'm 35, single, and haven't taken a real vacation in 4 years. Yes, this is Maureen. This is Angela Dean from Adult Protective Services. I'm calling about your father, Lionel Lewis. My stomach dropped. Dad had his stroke 2 years ago, and since then, I'd been sending Mom $1,500 every month for his care. $1,500 I scraped together by eating ramen, skipping dinners out, and turning down every invitation that cost money. What's wrong? Is he okay? Ma'am, I need to ask you something directly. When did you last see your father? The question hit me like cold water. It's been about 6 months. I live 8 hours away and with work. Miss Lewis, your father is currently residing at Sunset Manor, a state-funded facility. He's been here for 3 weeks. The words didn't make sense. That's impossible. My mother said he was at home. I've been sending money for his home care. Silence stretched between us. Then Angela's voice, gentler now. Ma'am, I think you need to come down here. Tonight, if possible. I was in my car within 20 minutes, still wearing my pajama pants under a hastily thrown-on coat. 8 hours of driving through the night, surviving on gas station coffee, and the sick feeling growing in my stomach. Growing up, I was the fixer. When Cole got arrested for underage drinking at 17, I was the one who convinced the officer to let him off with a warning. When Mom's credit cards got maxed out, I was the one working double shifts at the diner to help with groceries. When Dad's business started failing, I was the one who took out student loans I didn't need just to give him the cash. Maureen will handle it, became the family motto. And I always did. The nursing home sat on a depressing stretch of highway, all beige brick and barred windows. Angela met me in the parking lot, a tired-looking woman with kind eyes and a clipboard that probably held more heartbreak than I wanted to know about. Before you go in, she said, I need you to understand that your father has been asking for you. Every day. He keeps saying his daughter abandoned him. The words hit me like a physical blow. I didn't abandon him. I've been paying. I know, that's why I called. She led me through sterile hallways that smelled like disinfectant and defeat. Other residents shuffled past in wheelchairs or leaned against walkers, their eyes vacant. This wasn't the dignified care I'd been paying for. This was warehousing. Dad sat by a window in the common room, staring at nothing. He'd lost at least 30 pounds since I'd seen him. His clothes hung loose, and there was a stain on his shirt that looked days old. Dad? He turned, and for a moment his eyes were completely blank. Then recognition flickered, followed by something that broke my heart. Hope. Maureen, you came back? I knelt beside his wheelchair, taking his thin hands in mine. Of course I came back, Dad. I'm here. I thought, your mother said you were too busy, said you didn't want to see me anymore. The room started spinning. Dad, that's not true. I've been sending money for your care. Every month. His face crumpled. There's no money, sweetheart. They moved me here when the bills stopped getting paid. I kept asking for you, but Lindsay said. He trailed off, confusion clouding his features again. Angela touched my shoulder. We need to talk. In her office, she laid out the timeline. Dad had been living with Mom and Cole until 3 weeks ago. Then suddenly, no one could pay for his medications or physical therapy. The family claimed they had no resources, but I've been sending $1,500 every month for 2 years, I said. That's $36,000. Angela's expression said everything. Miss Lewis, I think your family has been lying to you. I sat in that parking lot for an hour after leaving, calling Mom's number over and over. It went straight to voicemail. Cole's, too. Finally, I drove to the house I'd helped pay for, the house where my father was supposed to be receiving care. Through the window, I could see them. Mom, Cole, and his new wife, Faith, laughing around the dinner table. There were wedding photos on the mantel, expensive-looking furniture I'd never seen before. And suddenly, I understood everything. I didn't knock. I used the spare key I'd paid to have made 2 years ago when Dad first got sick. They were still at the dinner table when I walked in. Mom looked up from her wine glass, and for just a second, I saw panic flash across her face before she rearranged it into that familiar smile. Maureen, what a surprise, honey. We weren't expecting... Where's Dad? The question hung in the air. Cole set down his fork slowly. Faith looked between us like she was watching a tennis match. Your father is resting, Mom said. You know how tired he gets. No, Lindsay. Where is Dad? I never called her by her first name. She flinched. I just came from Sunset Manor. You know, the state facility where he's been living for 3 weeks? The place that smells like piss and despair? Cole finally spoke up. Maureen, calm down. You're being dramatic. Dramatic? I pulled out my phone, scrolling to my banking app. I've sent you $36,000 over 2 years. For Dad's care. So tell me, Cole, where did that money go? Faith's fork clattered to her plate. $36,000? Mom shot her a warning look. Faith, this is family business. No, I said, stepping closer to the table. Faith should hear this. She should know exactly how her new house got paid for. The color drained from Faith's face. What is she talking about, Cole? Cole's jaw tightened. Maureen, you need to leave. You can't just barge in here making accusations. Accusations? I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to me. I have bank records. I have receipts. I have a father sitting in a state facility asking why his daughter abandoned him. We didn't have a choice, Mom said, her voice rising. The wedding was expensive, and Cole needed help with the down payment. The wedding? Faith's voice cracked. You paid for our wedding with money meant for your husband's medical care? Family helps family, Mom snapped. Maureen has a good job. No kids, no responsibilities. She could afford it. I could afford it? I stared at her. I've been eating cereal for dinner for 2 years. I haven't bought new clothes since 2019. I turned down a promotion that required travel because I thought I needed to stay close enough to help with Dad. Cole stood up. Nobody asked you to make those sacrifices. You literally asked me every month. Dad needs his medications. The physical therapist is expensive. Can you help us out just this once? We never said it was just once, Cole said. The casual cruelty of it hit me like a slap. Faith was staring at her husband like she'd never seen him before. Cole, please tell me you didn't know about this, she whispered. He couldn't meet her eyes. It's complicated, Faith. It's not complicated, I said. It's theft. It's elder abuse. It's fraud. Mom slammed her wine glass down. Don't you dare talk to us about abuse. We took care of your father for months before you dumped him in a state facility because you spent his care money on granite countertops and a honeymoon in Europe. Faith's hands were shaking. We went to Italy for 2 weeks. Cole said his sister helped pay for it as a wedding gift. I did help pay for it, just not willingly. Cole's face was red now. You always act like you're so much better than us, Maureen. Like you're the only one who sacrifices anything. What have you sacrificed, Cole? What have either of you given up? We sacrificed having Dad here, Mom said. Do you know how hard it was, taking care of him? The smell, the constant needs, the way he'd get confused and angry. So you took my money and threw him away. We didn't throw him away. We found him a place where professionals could handle him. You found him the cheapest place that would take Medicaid after you spent his care money on yourselves. Faith stood up abruptly. I need some air. Faith, sit down, Cole ordered. Don't tell me what to do. Her voice was steel. Not after this. She walked out the back door, slamming it behind her. Look what you've done, Mom hissed. You've upset Faith. I've upset Faith? I stared at them both. You stole from your own father and I'm the problem? We borrowed it, Cole said. We were going to pay it back. With what money? Your wife just found out her entire marriage is built on stolen money. You think she's going to be okay with that? She'll get over it, Mom said. Faith loves Cole. Faith loves the man she thought she married, the one who could afford a beautiful wedding and a house in the suburbs, not the one who steals from disabled old men. Cole stepped toward me. Get out of my house. Your house that I helped buy? I don't think so. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. The new furniture, the wedding photos, the expensive art on the walls. What are you doing? Mom demanded. Documenting everything. For the lawyers. Lawyers? Cole's voice cracked. I looked at them both. Really looked at them. Mom with her fresh highlights and manicured nails. Cole in his designer shirt. Both of them well-fed and comfortable, while Dad wasted away in a state facility. You want to know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take back every penny. I'm going to make sure Dad gets the care he deserves. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of people you are. I headed for the door, then turned back. Oh, and Cole? You might want to call Faith back inside. She's going to need to hear about the rest of it. What rest? He whispered. I smiled, and it felt like ice. I'm just getting started. I drove straight to the bank at 9 a.m. sharp. The manager, a woman named Patricia, who'd handled my accounts for years, looked concerned when I asked to liquidate my savings. Maureen, that's your emergency fund. Are you sure about this? I'm about to have the biggest emergency of my life, I said. I need liquid assets. She processed the withdrawal without more questions. $43,000. Everything I had left after 2 years of bleeding money to my family. My next call was to Eliana. Girl, it's barely 10 a.m., and you sound like you're about to commit murder, she said when she picked up. I need a lawyer, the meanest, most ruthless lawyer you know. What happened? I gave her the short version. By the end, she was cursing in Spanish. Those bastards. Maureen, I'm so sorry. But you know I do corporate law, right? You need someone who specializes in family fraud and elder abuse. Do you know someone? I know exactly who you need. Davis Clark. He's expensive, but he's a shark. He once made a guy pay back his grandmother's inheritance plus interest after the family tried to hide it in offshore accounts. Can you call him? I'll do better than that. I'll drive you there myself. Davis Clark's office was in a glass tower downtown, all marble and intimidation. The man himself was younger than I'd expected, maybe late 30s, with the kind of confidence that came from winning cases other lawyers wouldn't touch. Eliana tells me you have a family problem, he said, gesturing for us to sit. My family stole $36,000 from me, money that was supposed to care for my disabled father. Tell me everything. I laid it out chronologically. The monthly payments, the lies about Dad's condition, finding him in the state facility. Davis took notes, occasionally asking for clarification. Do you have documentation of the payments? I pulled out my phone, showing him the bank transfers. Every month for 2 years, always to my mother's account. And they explicitly told you this was for your father's care? I have text messages. I scrolled through months of conversations. Dad needs his medication. The physical therapist is expensive. Can you help with the medical bills? Davis smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. This is textbook fraud. What do you want from them? Everything. I want every penny back plus damages. I want my father in proper care, and I want them to face consequences. Criminal charges, if possible. It's possible. Elder abuse, fraud, potentially forgery if they signed anything in your name. But Maureen, once we start this, there's no going back. Your family will be destroyed. They destroyed themselves when they chose to steal from a disabled man. Fair enough. My retainer is 10,000. I wrote the check without hesitation. After the meeting, Eliana and I sat in her car in the parking garage. You sure about this? She asked. You think I shouldn't be? I think your family deserves everything that's coming to them. I'm just worried about you. What do you mean? Revenge is expensive, Maureen. And I don't mean the legal fees. I stared out at the concrete walls. They left Dad in that place, Eliana. He's lost 30 pounds. He thinks I abandoned him. I know. And they're going to pay for it. I just want to make sure you don't lose yourself in the process. That afternoon, I drove back to see Dad. He was in the same chair by the same window, but this time he smiled when he saw me. Maureen, you came back again. I told you I would, Dad. I was afraid I dreamed it. Sometimes I dream things that feel real. I pulled up a chair next to him. Dad, I need to ask you something. Do you remember Mom and Cole talking about money, about bills or expenses? His face clouded. There was always fighting about money. Lindsay would get angry when the bills came. She'd say things. What kind of things? She'd say you were selfish, that you had plenty of money, but you didn't care about family. The words hit me like a physical blow. Dad, that's not true. I've been sending money every month. You have? His eyes cleared for a moment. Then where did it go? That's what I'm going to find out. I spent an hour with him, helping him eat lunch and listening to him talk about his physical therapy sessions that had stopped weeks ago. When I left, I made him a promise. Dad, I'm going to fix this. You're going to get proper care, and the people who did this to you are going to face consequences. What people? Mom and Cole. His face crumpled. They're my family, Maureen. They wouldn't hurt me. I know, Dad. I know. That evening, I sat in my hotel room with a bottle of wine and my laptop, going through 2 years of bank statements. The pattern was clear once I knew what to look for. The payments to Mom's account, then transfers to Cole's account within days. Large purchases on their credit cards right after my deposits. My phone buzzed. A text from Cole. We need to talk. I typed back. Talk to my lawyer. Another text. Maureen, please. Faith left me. She took the kids to her mother's. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I deleted it without responding. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Miss Lewis? This is Davis Clark. I've been doing some preliminary research on your family's finances. We need to meet tomorrow. There's more. More what? More money and more lies. This goes back further than you think. Davis spread the documents across his conference table like he was dealing cards. Bank statements, credit reports, property records. The paper trail of my family's lies. Your mother has been forging your signature, he said without preamble. Look at this. He slid a loan application across the table. My name was signed at the bottom in handwriting that looked like mine, but wasn't quite right. This is from 18 months ago. A $15,000 personal loan using you as a co-signer. I never signed this. I know, but the bank doesn't. Your mother used this loan to pay for Cole's wedding venue. Eliana leaned forward. That's identity theft on top of everything else. It gets worse. Davis pulled out another stack of papers. She's been using your credit for years. Small amounts at first, then bigger ones. You're listed as a co-signer on Cole's mortgage. The room started spinning. What? The house Cole and Faith live in? You're legally responsible for half the payments if he defaults. But I never... Your mother forged your signature on the mortgage documents, too. She's been doing this systematically, using your good credit to fund their lifestyle. I stared at the papers. My name, over and over, in handwriting that wasn't mine. How much am I liable for? Potentially, about $200,000. Eliana grabbed my arm as I swayed in my chair. Breathe, Maureen. Just breathe. There's more, Davis continued. I ran a full credit check. You have 3 credit cards you didn't open, all maxed out. Your credit score has dropped 80 points in the last year. I check my credit report every month. They've been intercepting your mail. Probably having it forwarded to a P.O. box. Classic identity theft tactics. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Faith. Can we meet? I need to talk to you about Cole. I showed the message to Davis. He nodded. You should meet with her. She might have information we can use. An hour later, I sat across from Faith in a coffee shop downtown. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her wedding ring was gone. I left him, she said without preamble, took the kids and went to my mother's. I'm sorry. Are you? Because your lawyer is about to destroy our lives. Faith, I didn't destroy your life. Cole did, when he stole money meant for his disabled father. She flinched. I didn't know. I swear to God, Maureen, I didn't know where the money came from. What did you think? That Cole suddenly got rich? He told me his business was doing well. He showed me bank statements, profit reports. It all looked legitimate. What kind of business? Consulting. He said he was helping small businesses with their marketing. I almost laughed. Cole doesn't know anything about marketing. He got fired from his last job for showing up drunk. Faith's face crumpled. I'm such an idiot. The signs were all there. He'd get mysterious phone calls, disappear for hours. When I asked questions, he'd get angry. What kind of phone calls? Arguments about money. I heard him yelling at someone about payments and deadlines. I thought it was clients. It was probably loan sharks. Loan sharks? Faith, how much debt do you think Cole has? I don't know. He handled all the finances. Said I didn't need to worry about it. I pulled out my phone, showing her the documents Davis had given me. He owes over $300,000. Credit cards, personal loans, the mortgage, and half of it is in my name. She stared at the papers. This can't be right. Your mother-in-law has been forging my signature for years, using my credit to fund your lifestyle. Oh, God. Faith covered her face with her hands. The house, the wedding, the honeymoon, it was all stolen money. Now you understand why I can't just let this go. What happens to me, to my kids? That depends on what you know and whether you're willing to testify. She looked up sharply. Testify? Faith, this is going to court. Criminal court, probably. If you cooperate, if you help us prove what they did, the prosecutor might go easier on you. I didn't do anything wrong. You benefited from fraud. You lived in a house bought with stolen money. You went on a honeymoon paid for with money meant for an old man's medical care. But I didn't know. Can you prove that? She was quiet for a long time. Then, what do you need from me? Everything. Bank statements, credit card bills, loan documents, any conversations you overheard between Cole and his mother, any lies he told you about where the money came from. If I do this, Cole will never forgive me. Faith, Cole stole from his own father. He forged my signature on legal documents. He destroyed my credit and put me hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Do you really think he deserves your loyalty? She was crying now. I loved him. I thought we were building a life together. You were building a life on stolen money. That's not love, Faith. That's fraud. What about my kids? They'll lose their home, their school, everything. Your kids will be better off knowing the truth than living a lie built on theft. She wiped her eyes. Okay, I'll help you, but I want immunity. I want it in writing that I won't be charged. I'll talk to my lawyer. As I walked back to my car, my phone rang. Cole. Maureen, please. Faith won't answer my calls. My kids won't talk to me. You've destroyed my family. I didn't destroy anything, Cole. I just exposed what was already broken. Mom's having panic attacks. She can't eat, can't sleep. You're killing her. She should have thought about that before she stole from Dad. We can pay you back. We'll sell the house, liquidate everything. Just call off the lawyers. It's too late for that. It's not too late. We're family. No, Cole. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't forge signatures. Family doesn't abandon their disabled father in a state facility. Maureen, please. I hung up and blocked his number. Then I called Davis. Faith wants to cooperate. She wants immunity. I'll call the prosecutor. This just got a lot easier. The courthouse steps were crawling with reporters when I arrived for the arraignment. Someone had leaked the story to the local news. Local family accused of elder abuse and fraud. Davis met me at the security checkpoint. You ready for this? Are they here? Your mother and brother are already inside with their lawyer, public defender. They couldn't afford private counsel. We walked through the metal detectors. In the hallway, I saw them sitting on a bench. Mom looked like she'd aged 10 years in 2 weeks. Cole sat hunched over, staring at his hands. Their lawyer, a tired-looking man in an ill-fitting suit, approached Davis. My clients want to discuss a plea agreement. Too late for that, Davis replied. We're going to trial. Miss Lewis, the public defender said to me directly, your family is willing to make full restitution. They'll sell the house, liquidate all assets, and the forgery, the identity theft, the elder abuse. He shifted uncomfortably. Those are more complicated charges. Not complicated at all. Your clients committed multiple felonies. They're going to face the consequences. Cole stood up suddenly. Maureen, can we talk? Just for a minute? Davis started to object, but I held up my hand. 5 minutes. We walked to a quiet corner of the hallway. Cole looked terrible, unshaven, hollow-eyed, wearing the same clothes I'd seen him in days ago. Faith filed for divorce, he said. I know. She's asking for full custody. Says I'm an unfit father. Are you? He flinched. I made mistakes, okay? But I'm not a bad person. You stole from your disabled father, Cole. You forged my signature on legal documents. You destroyed my credit. What would you call that? Desperate. I was desperate. Desperate for what? A bigger house? A fancier wedding? You don't understand the pressure I was under. What pressure? He looked around nervously, then leaned closer. Mom has a gambling problem. Has had one for years. She owes money to some very bad people. The words hit me like ice water. What? The casino debts, the online poker, the sports betting. She's in deep, Maureen, like life-threatening deep. How deep? 50,000, maybe more. These aren't the kind of people who accept payment plans. I stared at him. So you stole from me to pay off Mom's gambling debts? Some of it, yeah. The wedding was real. The house down payment was real. But a lot of your money went to keeping Mom alive. And you didn't think to tell me this? She made me promise. She was ashamed. She was ashamed? Cole? She stole from her own husband's medical care to feed a gambling addiction. I know it's messed up, but there's no but. There's no excuse for what you did. Please, Maureen. If this goes to trial, if Mom goes to prison, those people will find her. They'll kill her. Then maybe she should have thought about that before she started gambling with money meant for Dad's care. You can't mean that. I absolutely mean that. The bailiff called for everyone to enter the courtroom. As we walked back, Cole grabbed my arm. There's something else. Something you need to know. What now? The house Dad grew up in. Grandma's house. Mom sold it last year. My blood went cold. She what? She needed money fast. Sold it to a developer. They're tearing it down next month. Grandma's house. Where Dad had lived as a child. Where we'd spent every Christmas until she died. The house that was supposed to stay in the family forever. How much did she get for it? 80,000. It was worth twice that, but she needed cash fast. Where did that money go? Cole's silence was answer enough. The casino, I said. He nodded. Inside the courtroom, I watched my mother and brother stand before the judge. The charges were read: elder abuse, fraud, identity theft, forgery. Each count carried years in prison. How do the defendants plead? Their lawyer stood. Not guilty, Your Honor. The judge set bail at $50,000 each. Mom started crying when she realized they couldn't afford it. After court, I found Faith in the parking lot. She was loading boxes into her car. Moving out? I asked. Bank's foreclosing next week. Turns out Cole hasn't made a mortgage payment in 3 months. Where will you go? My mother's. The kids and I will stay there until I figure things out. She slammed the trunk shut, then turned to me. I testified to the grand jury yesterday, told them everything I knew. Thank you. Don't thank me. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for my children. They deserve to know the truth about their father. What did you tell them? That Daddy made some very bad choices, and now he has to face the consequences. As she drove away, my phone rang. Angela from Adult Protective Services. Maureen, I have good news. We found a placement for your father, Willowbrook Care Center. It's private, much better than where he is now. How much? $4,000 a month, but with the restitution money from the lawsuit, there might not be any money left after the legal fees and the debts they racked up in my name. I'm sorry, I thought you should know the option exists. After she hung up, I sat in my car staring at the courthouse. Inside, my mother and brother were probably sitting in holding cells, waiting for someone to post their bail. Nobody was coming. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your mother owes us money. Your family. That makes it your problem now. I stared at the message, then deleted it. But I didn't block the number. I had a feeling I'd be hearing from them again. The threatening texts started coming daily. Different numbers, same message. Mom owed money, and now it was my problem. I was showing them to Davis when my phone rang. The caller ID said, County Jail. Will you accept a collect call from Lindsay? I almost hung up. Then I hit accept. Maureen? Mom's voice was small, broken. Please, I need help. Help with what? Bail. I can't stay in here. These women, they're dangerous. You should have thought about that before you committed multiple felonies. I know you're angry, but I'm your mother. You can't just leave me here. Watch me. Maureen, please. There are things you don't understand. People who will hurt me if I don't. Pay your gambling debts? Yeah, Cole told me. Silence. Then, he wasn't supposed to tell you that. He wasn't supposed to steal from me either. But here we are. I'm sick, Maureen. Gambling addiction is a disease. Okay, so get treatment in prison. They'll kill me in here. The people I owe money to, they have connections everywhere. Then you should have thought about that before you stole Dad's medical money to play poker. I was trying to win it back. I thought if I could just hit one big jackpot. You thought you could gamble your way out of a gambling problem? I know how it sounds, but it sounds insane. It sounds like the thinking of someone who shouldn't be trusted with other people's money. Maureen, I'm begging you, just the bail money. I'll pay you back. With what? You don't have anything left. You sold Grandma's house, remember? Her sob echoed through the phone. I had to. They were going to break my legs. So instead you broke Dad's heart. Your father doesn't even remember the house. He remembers enough. He asked me about it yesterday. Wanted to know why he couldn't go visit Grandma's garden. I had no choice. You had a choice every time you placed a bet. You had a choice every time you forged my signature. You had a choice when you decided to abandon Dad in that facility. I never abandoned him. You left him in a place that smells like death while you spent his care money at the casino. What would you call that? The line went quiet except for her crying. Mom, are you there? I'm here. I need to ask you something, and I want the truth. How long have you been stealing from me? I never stole. The truth, Mom. Another long pause. 3 years, maybe 4. 4 years? It started small, just a few hundred here and there when I was behind on bills. Then the gambling got worse, and I needed more. What about Dad's stroke? Did you steal from me before that? Yes. The word hit me like a physical blow. So the money I sent for Dad's care, that was never really for Dad. Some of it was. I did pay for his medications, his doctor visits, but most of it went to gambling. I always planned to pay it back. With what money? I thought I could win. Stop. Just stop talking. I hung up and immediately called Davis. I need to know everything. Every forged signature, every fraudulent loan, every penny they stole. Going back 4 years. That's going to take time. I have time, and I want criminal charges for all of it. Maureen, if we go back 4 years, your mother is looking at serious prison time. Like decades. Good. That afternoon, I drove to see Dad. He was in the day room, working on a jigsaw puzzle with shaky hands. Hi, Dad. He looked up and smiled. Maureen, I was hoping you'd come today. How are you feeling? Better. The new medicine helps with the shaking. I sat down next to him. Dad, I need to tell you something. About Mom and Cole. His face clouded. Are they in trouble? Yes. They took money that was meant for your care. They spent it on other things. What kind of things? Cole's wedding. A house. And Mom has been gambling. He was quiet for a long time, slowly turning a puzzle piece in his hands. I knew, he said finally. You knew? About the gambling. I found the credit card bills years ago, before my stroke. Thousands of dollars at casinos. Why didn't you stop her? I tried. We fought about it constantly. She promised she'd quit, but she never did. Dad, why didn't you tell me? He looked at me with clear eyes. Because you were already sacrificing so much for us. I didn't want to burden you with more problems. It wouldn't have been a burden. I could have helped. You were helping. Every month, sending money, calling to check on us. I didn't want you to know how bad things really were. But Dad, if I'd known, you would have tried to fix it. Just like you always do. But some things can't be fixed, sweetheart. Some people don't want to be saved. He placed the puzzle piece he'd been holding. It fit perfectly. What happens to them now? He asked. They're going to prison, probably for a long time. He nodded slowly. And what happens to you? What do you mean? This anger you're carrying, this need for revenge. What happens to you when it's over? I didn't have an answer. Dad, they stole from you. They abandoned you. Don't you want them to pay? They're already paying, Maureen. Look at them. Cole lost his wife, his children, his home. Your mother is sitting in jail, terrified for her life. They've destroyed everything they claim to be protecting. But they need to face consequences. They are facing consequences. The question is, what consequences are you facing? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Another text from another unknown number. We know where you work. We know where you live. Your mother's debt is now your debt. I showed Dad the message. His face went pale. Maureen, these people are dangerous. You need to be careful. I'm not paying Mom's gambling debts. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to be smart, to be safe. As I drove home, I couldn't shake Dad's words. What consequences was I facing? I was about to find out. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Every day, I sat in the front row watching my family's lies unravel in public. The local news covered it extensively. Daughter exposes family's fraud scheme. Faith testified first, her voice steady as she described finding out about the forged documents. She'd brought bank statements, credit card bills, even recordings she'd made of Cole's phone calls with his mother. He told me his sister was helping with the wedding as a gift, she said on the stand. I had no idea the money was stolen from her father's medical care. Cole's lawyer tried to paint Faith as a vindictive ex-wife, but the evidence was overwhelming. Forged signatures, fraudulent loans, years of systematic theft. When Cole took the stand in his own defense, he broke down completely. I never meant for it to go this far, he sobbed. Mom said it was just temporary, that we'd pay it back. But you knew the money was meant for your father's care, the prosecutor asked. Yes. And you spent it anyway? Mom said Maureen could afford it. She said Maureen didn't have kids or a mortgage, so she didn't need the money as much as we did. So you decided your sister should fund your lifestyle? It wasn't like that. What was it like, Mr. Cole? I don't know. I was scared. Mom owed these people money and they were threatening us. So you stole from your disabled father to pay your mother's gambling debts? Cole couldn't answer. Mom's testimony was worse. She sat in the witness box looking frail and broken, but her words were pure manipulation. I never meant to hurt anyone, she said. I was sick. Gambling addiction is a real disease. But you chose to forge your daughter's signature? The prosecutor pressed. I was desperate. These people were threatening my family. So you decided to destroy your daughter's credit instead. I thought I could fix it before she found out. By gambling more? I thought if I could just win enough to pay everyone back. You thought you could gamble your way out of debt? I know how it sounds now, but at the time, it made sense. The prosecutor showed the jury photos of Dad at Sunset Manor, thin, confused, sitting in his wheelchair in that sterile common room. This is Lionel Lewis, she said, the victim of this fraud. While his wife was spending his medical care money at casinos, he was wasting away in a state facility, wondering why his daughter had abandoned him. Several jurors wiped their eyes. The defense tried to argue that it was a family matter, that I was being vindictive, but Davis had done his job well. The evidence was clear, documented, undeniable. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. On the count of elder abuse, we find the defendant Lindsay Lewis guilty. On the count of fraud, we find the defendant Lindsay Lewis guilty. On the count of identity theft, we find the defendant Lindsay Lewis guilty. On the count of forgery, we find the defendant Lindsay Lewis guilty. The same verdicts for Cole. Guilty on all counts. Mom collapsed when the judge read the sentences. 8 years for her, 5 for Cole. They'd serve at least half before being eligible for parole. As the bailiffs led them away in handcuffs, Mom turned to look at me one last time. Her mouth moved, but I couldn't hear what she said over the noise in the courtroom. I didn't try to read her lips. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded me. How do you feel about your family going to prison? Do you regret pressing charges? What's next for your father? Davis handled most of the questions, but one reporter pushed through the crowd. Maureen, your mother could die in prison. She's 56 years old. 8 years is a long sentence. Do you feel any guilt about that? I stopped walking. My mother stole money meant for her disabled husband's medical care so she could gamble. She forged my signature on legal documents and destroyed my credit. She abandoned my father in a state facility while she spent his care money at casinos. If she dies in prison, that's a consequence of her choices, not mine. But she's your mother. She stopped being my mother the day she chose gambling over her family. The restitution hearing was held a week later. The judge ordered the sale of Cole's house, all remaining assets, and garnishment of any future earnings. After legal fees and paying off the fraudulent debts in my name, I recovered about $60,000. It wasn't enough for the private care facility Dad needed, but it was enough to move him somewhere better than Sunset Manor. I found Meadowbrook Care Center an hour from my apartment. It was clean, well-staffed, and Dad would have his own room with a view of a garden. It's beautiful, he said when I showed him around. But can we afford it? We can afford it. What about your mother and Cole? Will they be able to visit? I hadn't told him about the prison sentences yet. Dad, they're going to be away for a while. How long? A long time. He nodded slowly, understanding more than I'd given him credit for. Are you okay with that? I asked. I'm sad for them, but I'm proud of you. Proud of me? You stood up for what was right, even when it was hard, even when it cost you your family. They cost me my family, Dad, not me. I know, but you could have let it go. You could have just walked away. And let them get away with it? Some people would have. I'm not some people, he smiled. No, you're not. You're my daughter, and I'm proud of you. That night, I sat in my empty apartment with a bottle of wine and my laptop, reading the news coverage of the trial. The comment section was brutal. Half the people calling me a hero, half calling me a vindictive daughter who destroyed her own family. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Your mother's debt doesn't disappear just because she's in prison. I hung up and blocked the number, but as I sat there in the dark, I realized Dad had been right to ask what consequences I was facing. I'd won. I'd gotten justice. I'd secured Dad's care and destroyed the people who'd betrayed us. So why did I feel so empty? The threatening calls stopped after I hired a private security firm to trace them. Turns out, Mom's gambling debts were with a small-time operation that folded when their main enforcer got arrested on unrelated charges. The debt collectors moved on to easier targets. I was visiting Dad at Meadowbrook when Eliana called with news. Faith wants to meet with you, she said. She has something that belongs to you. We met at the same coffee shop where she'd first told me about Cole's lies. She looked different, stronger, more confident. Her divorce had been finalized, and she'd gotten a job at a marketing firm. I found these when I was cleaning out the storage unit, she said, sliding a small box across the table. Inside were pieces of my grandmother's jewelry. The pearl necklace she'd worn to every family gathering, her wedding ring, a silver bracelet I'd admired as a child. Cole pawned most of it, Faith said, but I managed to buy these pieces back before the pawn shop sold them. How much do I owe you? Nothing. Consider it my apology for living off stolen money for 2 years. I held up the pearl necklace. Grandma always said this would be mine someday. She was right. Faith, can I ask you something? Do you regret testifying against them? She was quiet for a moment. I regret marrying Cole. I regret not asking harder questions about where the money came from. But testifying? No. My kids needed to see that actions have consequences. How are they handling it? Better than I expected. Kids are resilient. They know their father made bad choices, but they also know I'm going to protect them from those choices. Do they ask about him? Sometimes. I tell them he's learning to make better decisions. When they're older, I'll tell them the whole truth. After Faith left, I drove to the cemetery where Grandma was buried. I hadn't been there since her funeral 5 years ago. Her headstone was simple: beloved wife, mother, and grandmother. I sat on the grass next to her grave and put on the pearl necklace. I got them back, Grandma. Mom sold your house, but I got your jewelry back. The wind rustled through the trees above me. I know you wouldn't approve of what I did. You always said family forgives family, but they weren't acting like family, were they? A groundskeeper walked by, nodding politely. I probably looked crazy talking to a headstone. Dad's safe now. He's in a good place with people who actually care about him. That's what matters, right? My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, but this time it wasn't a threat. Ms. Lewis, this is Sarah from Channel 7 News. We're doing a follow-up story on elder abuse. Would you be willing to share your experience? I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, yes. The interview aired the following week. I sat across from the reporter in Dad's room at Meadowbrook, with him beside me in his wheelchair. Do you regret pressing charges against your family? She asked. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that my father suffered because of their choices, but I don't regret holding them accountable. Some people say you were too harsh. That family should forgive family. Family should also protect family. They chose to steal from a disabled man rather than face their problems honestly. That's not family behavior. What would you say to other people who might be in similar situations? Document everything. Trust your instincts. And don't let anyone guilt you into enabling their bad behavior, even if they're family. The reporter turned to Dad. Mr. Leonel, how do you feel about your daughter's decision? Dad's voice was clear and strong. I'm proud of her. She did what was right, even when it was hard. That takes courage. Do you miss your wife and son? I miss the people I thought they were, but I'm grateful to be here, safe and cared for, because of Maureen. After the interview, Dad and I sat in the garden outside his room. He was working on a crossword puzzle while I read emails on my phone. Maureen? Yeah, Dad. Are you happy? The question caught me off guard. What do you mean? You got justice. You got your money back. You made sure I'm safe. But are you happy? I thought about it. I'm satisfied. I'm at peace with my decisions. That's not the same thing. No, it's not. What would make you happy? I don't know. I've been so focused on fixing this mess, I haven't thought about what comes next. Maybe it's time to start thinking about it. That evening, I called Eliana. Want to grab dinner tomorrow? Somewhere expensive? I'm buying. What's the occasion? I'm ready to start living again instead of just surviving. It's about time. I know this great place downtown. Actually, I was thinking we could try that new restaurant by the beach, the one you've been wanting to go to. That's an hour drive. I know, I'm taking a vacation day. Maureen Lewis is taking a vacation day. Are you feeling okay? I'm feeling like maybe it's time to stop punishing myself for other people's mistakes. I'll pick you up at 6. As I hung up, my phone rang. The caller ID showed County Jail. I stared at it for a long moment, then declined the call. Some conversations weren't worth having. I walked to my window and looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Cole was sitting in a prison cell, probably wondering how his life had gone so wrong. Mom was probably doing the same thing, maybe finally understanding that her choices had consequences, but that wasn't my problem anymore. I had my own life to live, and for the first time in years, I was ready to live it. My phone buzzed with a text from Dad. Thank you for everything. Sleep well. I texted back. Love you too, Dad. See you tomorrow. Then I turned off my phone, poured myself a glass of wine, and started planning my first real vacation in 5 years. Justice was done. Dad was safe. The rest was up to me, and I was finally ready for whatever came next.